Hi, I'm the director for our New Zealand registered not-for-profit Common Knowledge Trust, and I've been a naturopath for 50 years. I also got COVID in March of 2020, and I was in New Zealand. We didn't have masks. The governments all around the world, I was doing heaps of research, particularly in Asia, about what was going on. And basically, governments were saying, do this to try not to catch it. We all know what those protocols are. But if you get sick, go home. Basically, do nothing unless you have trouble breathing. Don't overload our medical system. And so we wrote a protocol, and we wrote a protocol of what you could do to help yourself. And I have them on other videos in this playlist. So I've been sort of following the research. I'm not a great researcher. I chose not to learn anything medical, so I don't read scientific journals. And we run a trust called Common Knowledge, which means we're looking to find things that we can share across the board wherever we live, whoever we are. And that's particularly true with the work that we've done for 50 years as a trust around childbirth, because 100% of pregnant women will give birth. And the reality is we are a unique group with COVID. For a long haul, we are all in this together. And what I've been trying to do is to understand this, both for my own wellness and how to help clients that I'm working with. And then I decided a few months ago to get involved with some of the long haul Facebook groups. And so what are the things that I was hearing as a person who has 50 years of experience in working with health and wellness? I was hearing a lot of frustration, anger, disappointment, really cranky, crabby, a lot of symptoms, a list of about 20 different symptoms. Not everybody had them. And a real frustration. People just wanted to get better. So I've started to think about what all that means. And what I want to do today is to talk about these two articles that I've recently found. And the links are in the bottom. One is 5 things that scientists think might be going on. And the other is about prolonged brain dysfunction. But that also boils down to sort of being understood. Our trust believes that you should use any and all health and wellness systems that you want. So we have a medical profession in many countries, not all countries, and not all as sophisticated. And in modern countries, there's really an entitlement expectation that the medical profession, is going to find something to cure us or to fix the problem. All of us had issues before we got COVID, one way or the other, but COVID has really heightened a lot of things, a lot of perceptions. And not only that, but that many of the issues and the episodes on wellness and the things that we were dealing with before COVID didn't really make us feel that we were going to die. But one of the things that I notice on the COVID Facebook groups is that people feel that every symptom is going to cause them to die. Part of this is marketing messaging. You know, there was sort of like the separation that COVID was really, really serious, or that COVID was just like the flu, don't worry about it. And there's been a lot of politicalization around this thing. So I've tried to stay out of the politics of it and try to get into the common knowledge, common sense about it. So this virus is new. And what does new mean? It means that our bodies have never had it before. However, if I have a heart attack, my body never had that before. If I got gonorrhea, may not have had that before either. If a tornado whips through town, may never have had that before. If my son or daughter gets killed, that may never have happened before. Or a parent. Or perhaps a bomb dropped on my village. Or perhaps terrorists came and stole children. These are all new things. What do we know about when new things happen to us? It disorients us. If the new thing comes in through our mind, suddenly we find out that our partner has been having an affair. It's a new thing that comes through our mind. It disorients us. If a new thing comes through our emotion, suddenly we find that we don't love the person that we thought that we'd love. We'd love someone else. Or we got fired from a job. Or somebody said something to us that was really hurtful. Or we got politically aroused by something. It's emotions. Or perhaps we were always an angry person. It's emotions. And when they're new, we get disoriented. Something comes into our body that's new, we get disoriented. There's a difference between acute and chronic, because chronic things like diabetes, heart problems, high lipids, our body kind of sort of adjusts to it. So we have this new thing, and what happens when new things come into us? They disorient us. And as humans, we don't like to be disoriented. It's like being given directions and ending up in the wrong place, not knowing where you are. We all now rely on GPS, but we didn't used to. We'd have to figure it out. I mean, we'd have to use our mind, our emotions, and our body. Now, because we're all entitled in the modern world, these things get simplified for us. We don't have to really think or feel or act. So when I looked at these articles, I want to come back and explain to you this virus is new. We don't know how to deal with it. Medical profession doesn't know how to deal with it either. So we're left with three things. Either wait and hope they do, and then they can fix us or cure us, do nothing, or do things for ourselves. What I hear is a lot of frustration that you're not being heard by the men and women who are your medical providers. They don't know how to hear you. This is new to them. Are they saying, you're stressed? You are stressed because this virus stresses our body. It stresses our immune system. We feel that. If you eat something that makes you feel sick, your head feels that, your emotions feel that. If you fall down and break an arm, it's your body, but it's new to your body. You feel that. And it's new and it's disorienting. And then you have to figure out how to live with it and work around it. This virus is new. We're all faced with the same thing. What is happening? So, first of all, if you feel you have symptoms that are going to kill you, go to the doctor and find out. If the doctor says to you, those symptoms may feel terrible, you may not like them, but they are not going to kill you, then you're stuck with these three things. Hope that they're going to sort it out, do nothing, or do something for yourself. I do things for myself. Do I expect miracles when I do it for myself? No. I put a list down in the description, what works fast and what takes time. A lot of stuff takes time. If we break our arm, it takes time for it to heal. Right? Getting food poisoning doesn't take as much time. So you have to think about these things. What are the symptoms? If you feel that these symptoms are going to kill you, then go to the doctor and find out. And if the doctor says, no, they're not going to kill you, then you're stuck with this dilemma. Can you do things for yourself? So what are the scientists saying about the 5 things that could possibly be happening? And what I want to do, because I run a trust called Common Knowledge, is to try to bring you into where these things become similar. So they're saying in this article, which the link's below, is that about 10% of people have COVID long haul. There's probably going to be more when people start to understand it. This is a new virus. We don't know about it. We don't know if we can get it again. We don't know if when we get it again, if it's going to get worse or better. So we need to try to help our body deal with this new thing. So what this article is saying is that perhaps this virus has not left our body, that it's in some areas of our body This is not uncommon, as the article goes to show. That's true. In fact, if all women get swabbed in their vaginas, about 80% of us have gonorrhea germs. That doesn't mean we get sick. There are other viruses and bacteria, parasites, that lodge in certain areas of our body. That means we have to help our body get rid of those things. There's some very good Chinese and modern antiviral normal supplements. I don't know about medicine because I haven't chosen to do that. So it may be that you need to take some supplements that are antiviral in nature and work with that. Also, it's about keeping your immune system functioning well, which has to do with this thing called the autonomic nervous system, which is composed of our sympathetic and our parasympathetic. Our sympathetic is when everything is in fright, flight, fight, or freeze. And this new virus put our immune system exactly into that. So the other thing that in this article is that they may be other pathogens, other things that we already have. And it says, for example, 90% of people in the world already have the herpes virus. Okay? So it may be that this virus stimulates other viruses that we have. We don't know. It's new. The third reason is that the immune system gets turned on. We know it does. We know that we're having an immune reaction. And that's what the cytokine storm is and why people die. Their immune system goes absolute haywire. But our immune system can go into long-term haywireness. Do we have an ability to deal with those things? Yes, switch on our parasympathetic nervous system and try to keep it there more and more and more of the time. The fourth reason, the gut gets whacked. That's something we can easily fix. Lots of three gut things, by the way. One is the immunoglobulins and the beta-glucans. The other is the prebiotics. They have to stick onto the immunoglobulins on the intestine lining. And then the probiotics, which eat the prebiotics. So do a little bit of research about your gut. Those are things you can take all the time. You may need to take all three. Those are supplements. You can get them online. Just do a little research. And the fifth thing, is that the body can be injured. Yes, it can be. They see that people have micro blood clots. They see that the lungs have this white meshy stuff on it. They think that it's a blood vessel disease where the endothelial cells of the inside of the arteries can be damaged. And that's a problem. This can leave damage in us. So what can we do? So one is, I've said again and again in these videos, you need to write down all of your symptoms. Is this in your head? No, the knowledge of it's in your head. Use your head. Your mind, your emotions, and your body are one. So when your body's sick, your mind feels it. When you get stressed out, that makes your body worse. It can't heal when you're stressed. When your emotions are out of balance, your mind and your body feels it. When your mind's out of balance, your emotions and your body feel it. You're all one. And so you have a huge amount of power in being healthy. If you want to change your diet, change your diet. It takes a long time for changes to occur. And can you maintain that change in your diet? And will symptoms reemerge? But the first thing is just make a list of your symptoms and then couple them together if they go together. And find out, when are these things occurring? Make some notes. I get headaches in the evening, or I get headaches when I wake up, or when I wake up in the morning I feel frightened. Try to define what is happening, because that helps this disorder of your mind begin to make sense of what is new. If you lose someone that you love, it's new. And your body goes into this massive grief. Emotions in your mind go into this massive grief. Some people stay that way forever. They can never live their lives because this grief is so big. Others begin to make sense of this grief. They begin to put it in order. And then they begin to act on it little by little by little, and every little bit helps. This is a new virus. It is no different than if you got struck by an earthquake yesterday and your house is in shambles. It's new. You're disoriented. It is no different than if you were living in Hiroshima when the atomic bomb dropped. It is no different than famine in the world, except that can become chronic, or the wars that can become chronic. We have to recognize that this is new, just like many things that are new in our life. And for a while, we are disoriented. That's normal and natural. What's not normal and natural is to keep feeding on that. And that's what I hear and read in the COVID groups. People are scared they're going to die from every symptom, in which case, what are you going to do? Go check that out. If you're told you're not going to die, and the medical profession can't help you, and you don't believe that this is all in your head, which it isn't, then you have three choices. Wait for them to sort it, do nothing, start to take care of yourself. Luckily, there is a bazillion things you can do to take care of yourself. The difference is you have to pay attention, and you have to refine what you're doing, because you have to define what your issues are. You have to start making sense out of the chaos that you're feeling. Making a list, grouping the symptoms that exist, finding out when they're occurring. So for instance, for many women, they're saying it's occurring at a certain time of your menstrual period. That may have been beforehand as well. A lot of women get grouchy, they get tired, they get irritable, they get overly hungry, they do or don't want sex. Lots of us have had these experiences, but we just poo-pooed them, just da-da-da-da-da. Now, if they're heightened, they're like that. This is a problem. It's a thing. If it isn't going to kill you, it's an annoyance, it's an irritation, you don't like it, you want it to get better, it's not going to kill you. So you have a choice. Wait until they can solve it, do nothing, or begin to help yourself. And the best way to begin to help yourself is to find out where you really want to start. If you're having menstrual issues, if your symptoms are around your menstrual period, then you're dealing with it on a monthly basis. So you deal with it when it comes up. If you're dealing with it on a daily basis, you're dealing with it when it comes up. So how do you know what to do? On the description, I go, if you have a headache and you research on Google homeopathic remedies for headaches, you're going to find a list of them. Most people can get homeopathic remedies. So when do you take them? When you have the headache. You want to try to match the symptoms. Right? Acid reflux, for example. A lot of people get acid reflux. I take 2 homeopathics for acid reflux. Okay? One is a tissue salt called NAT-phos, sodium phosphate. It's in our body. It comes in little white things that you dissolve in your mouth. For me, mostly it just stops the acid reflux within 5 or 10 minutes. Just stops it. Doesn't mean I don't get it again. It just stops it at that moment. It decreases the intensity of the symptoms. It decreases the episode. And hopefully I have more space between. So when do you take NAT-phos? As soon as you start to feel the acid reflux. If that doesn't work, there's another homeopathic that I take periodically. It's called Iris, I-R-I-S, Veris Cola, V-E-R-I-S-C-O-L-I-S. It's a homeopathic. It's used for acid reflux. It's also used, curiously, for headaches above your eyes. But you may not have both. If you have headaches above your eyes and you look on that list and it says Iris Veris Cola, try it when you start to get a headache above your eyes. If you get a headache back here, that's gelsemium. Try it. See if it helps. What's your goal? Reduce the intensity of the symptoms, decrease the length of time the symptoms last, and increase the space when you feel pretty good. You may have had headaches beforehand, but now you're very, very aware of them, or they've changed their location, so you have a concern about them. That's okay. So supplements, if you have a lingering virus in your body, I still take several antiviral supplements. They have names to them. One's called Alibiotic, Alibiotic. I think it's by Now Foods. It's an oregano combination with rosemary and olive leaf. It's an antiviral. I also take grapefruit seed extract oil, which tastes, but I just take 1 drop and dilute it in water and drink it. I also take that for my gut. If I'm feeling my gut doesn't feel good. I also take those 3 supplements at different times of the day. I take an immune globulin. I happen to have blood type A, which means that I need to take the beta glucans with a saccharilide something. I use a supplement by Claire, Klaire. I have a practitioner account, so I get it cheaper. They sell it on Amazon. It's called Galactoimmune. So you can go and find these things. If you need to figure out your gut stuff, you can get fermented foods, research gut stuff, and play around with it. And research homeopathics. There are a lot of homeopathics for gut stuff, a lot of herbs for gut stuff. Peppermint, we used to use peppermint. Sometimes licorice. Do they all work magic? Are they magic bullets? No. Do they have to be? For a lot of people in modern cultures, that's what they want. That's our entitlement. It's unrealistic. We are having something very new happening globally. And that's an exciting time for many of us. We get to change. We get to grow. We get to do bigger and better things. That's what our trust wants you to do. We want to be the first generation of COVID long-haul people who help other people so that they're not left with this intense, long period of time where we don't know what to do. And that it's okay for us to try things and refine things and say, well, that's not quite working, but it's changed a little bit this way. It's improved a little bit, but not enough for me. Okay, well, let's find something else and try it. Why be stuck? You have Google now. You have YouTube now. We never had that. If you're going out and exercising and it's tiring to you, why not go to YouTube and find some gentle exercise things you can do when you're lying down in bed or sitting in a chair? You can develop more strength. You can develop more flexibility, more motion. And so that one article talks about the 5 things. If your body has been injured, can we always heal things? I worked with people with severe disabilities. If they've had a stroke and they're paralyzed on the right side of their body, they can't heal that. But they can improve heaps. So the other article is about the neurological stuff, and that gets a little bit more titchy, doesn't it? Neurological is brain, neurological is emotions, neurological is being stressed and being anxious, to which, because the medical profession is so siloed, you go to a therapist who says, you're having panic attacks, you're being anxious, but your heart's pounding a mile a minute and it's skipping you. You think, no, I have a heart problem. The therapist wants to put you on anti-anxiety medication. Cardiologist wants to put you on a beta blocker, but both are serving the same purpose, and that is to calm your sympathetic nervous system down. The fright, flight, fight, and freeze, where your body, your immune system is reactive to this new thing, and it stays reactive. And if you have virus stored, if you have lingering virus, if you have damage, if you have inflammation, that's all sympathetic nervous system stuff. So can you heal to 100%? Don't know. Better? Absolutely. You gotta work at it. We're alive. Do you go to work? 8 hours a day you may go to work. Do you have kids? 24 hours a day. Do you drive a car? The time you're in a car, you're working at doing that. We have to realize if we want to get better, we have to work on us. Lots of homeopathics around stress. Potassium phosphate, caliphos, very good. Nerves, may deal with tingling. Fermphos, redness, or belladonna. Joints, lots of supplements that deal with joint health. Curcumin is one of them. Chondroitin, the magnesium sulfate. Why not do your research? Try some stuff. If you have money issues like many of us do, try the things that are least expensive first. Right? That makes sense. But try things and evaluate. Don't expect a quick fix. Don't expect miracles. Expect that you are going to work on this. Mark in your calendar when you start to work on it and reevaluate after 24 hours, after a week, after a month, after 3 months, after 6 months, after a year. I've come a long way in the years since I've had COVID. Do I work on this? Absolutely every day. Absolutely every day. And every moment of the day. How do I do that? I had already, years before I got COVID, had become a Buteco, an Oxygen Advantage instructor. Oxygen Advantage stems from Buteco. Buteco was for all people with dysfunctional breathing, because dysfunctional breathing is the sympathetic nervous system. And I can tell by reading a lot of people that a lot of people were mouth breathers, upper chest breathers, and have gotten worse. They feel panicky. It's the sympathetic nervous system. So Buteco helped people to calm their breathing down. They did it by one technique. Shut your mouth and breathe in and out your nose. And if you only go to that, you may have a huge positive change. Only that. If you learn nothing else other than to just breathe in and out your nose. But there's more to it. Of course there's more to it. There's more to it because the sympathetic nervous system is active throughout our mind, body, and emotions. So it's the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you lived in that, you have to train your body to live in that. And to get that active, you have to change systems in your body, which most of us don't know about. Never heard of them. I didn't know about them. Have you ever heard of the carbon dioxide or the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve? No. Have you ever heard of nitric oxide? Probably not. You've heard of laughing gas. That's not nitric oxide. Nitrogen, something else. Right? Laughing gas is not the same. You never heard about those things. You may have heard about people who had asthma and that they're gasping for breath. But did you know if they put an oximeter on their finger, they probably have fine oxygen in their blood? Nobody ever told you that having oxygen in your blood isn't necessarily the best place for your oxygen. But somehow we know that in some sort of funny way, because we know that if we're breathless and somebody else isn't breathless doing the same thing, something's different in their body. We might think, well, they have better lungs. No, they don't. What they have is higher carbon dioxide tolerance, which has everything to do with this oxygen disassociation curve, right? Because oxygen in our blood doesn't feed our organs and our tissues. So we have to learn how to do that, and that's where Buteco comes in. There are skills that do it. And in other videos in this series, I've talked about experiments you can do with yourself to use Buteco, and it's all over YouTube. And there's a wonderful new YouTube channel from a friend of mine. It's called Breathing with Georgie. And it's new. And she interviews a bazillion people about breathing. I just listened to the one with how breathing really, really had a positive impact on a young man who has had diabetes type 1 since he was 11 years old. Is that worth it to you to learn? Can nose breathing slow down your heart arrhythmia? Absolutely. Because you activate your parasympathetic nervous system. What if you could understand what nitric oxide does? Simple. It dilates your blood vessels, all 100,000 miles of them. Plus it dilates the alveoli in your lungs. Plus the blood in your heart. If you have more open blood vessels, and then this dissociation curve gets activated, where you have a higher CO2 tolerance, and the CO2 tolerance, as you increase your CO2 tolerance, you're decreasing the oxygen in your blood. That's not bad if what's happening is that your CO2 tolerance is disassociating the oxygen from your blood, sending out into these open blood vessels, then leaking that oxygen out of the blood vessels into your tissues and your organs. So when you have a person using oxygen advantage, which is for people not breathless, who are athletes who want to improve their endurance or performance, they want to have very low oxygen in their blood. Because, right, down in the 80s, low oxygen. Because when they have low oxygen in their blood and they've been developing this carbon dioxide tolerance, their oxygen's being used. And what does that do? You have more energy and you're less tired. And you have more clarity because the oxygen's going up into your brain. It's going into your heart. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard. It's going into your lungs. Your lungs are doing a better oxygen-carbon dioxide exchange. Your body is using the oxygen in your body instead of storing it in your blood system. Wouldn't you like to do that? You have to work at it. I had to work at it when I became an oxygen and Buteco instructor. And I had to work at it for a long time. What was the goal? It was my personal goal. My goal was I didn't want to feel as breathless when I was moving faster. I wanted to have more energy. I didn't want to get as tired as fast. So when you're looking at these articles, let's just simplify it. One is, if you still have virus in your body, you want to do things to try to get the virus out of your body. I don't know what the medical profession would give you. We'd give you things like oregano oil. But you have to be somewhat cautious. You can't take oregano oil in large doses for a long period of time. Be smart, do your research. I use a combination that has olive leaf extract, oregano oil, rosemary oil, because they're antivirals in a combination. I particularly like this combination. Okay. You have to drink oral rehydration. Do not buy oral rehydration. It has artificial color. You do not know if your body is reactive to that. So make it up. Slightly salty, if you can, pink Himalayan salt, something that's not iodized. Slightly sweet, any sweet, not artificial sweetener. Learn to drink 15 to 20 swallows until your tummy says, I'm full, and then go back again. Hydrate your cells. Don't just drink water. Coffee, tea, and soda doesn't hydrate you. In fact, it dehydrates you. So if you hydrate yourself, you're helping your body flush out the metabolic waste of this virus. And when we have a lot of metabolic waste in our body, we feel brain fog. When we're in the sympathetic nervous system that's closing down our cardiovascular system, 50% less blood and oxygen is going to our brain. Do you think you'd have brain fog? Yes, you would. So if you start learning breathing techniques, and you start calming your breathing down and nose breathing, because an efficient breather is breathing 6 to 12 times a minute. Average people are breathing 12 to 20 times. I realized that I was breathing too much, still nose, belly breathing. I developed a greater CO2 tolerance by using the exercises in Buteco. I did one in this series on unstuff the nose, because if your nose is stuffed, it's harder to have an efficient respiratory system. All of the exercises in Buteco. and oxygen advantage have to do with a normal breath in, slight exhale, pinch your nose, hold your nose, breathe in your nose. The reason you breathe in your nose is that there are two ways to produce nitric oxide. One is just go out in the sun without sunscreen. The layer under your skin is full of nitric oxide, gets produced by the sun. Why do we know that? Why do we know nitric oxides work in our body? Because we get sleepy. That's our parasympathetic nervous system. We get sleepy and our cardiovascular system opens up. Or we produce it by exhale nose holds. And when we breathe in, the nitric oxide has been produced here. Also, go on YouTube, humming to produce nitric oxide. Put tongue to roof of mouth, hum out. Nitric oxide is being produced, and then you're distributing it. And when you distribute it and your cardiovascular system opens up and your parasympathetic nervous system is more active, you feel calmer. You feel warmer. Your cold hands and feet begin to disappear. You feel warmer in your chest. It's opened up the blood system in your heart. And when you have a good carbon dioxide tolerance, when you're not as breathless, then you get more oxygen into your heart muscle. So when you're going around with your heart pounding and stopping and all of this, and the medical profession is saying you're not going to die from that, but they may put you on something that depresses your sympathetic nervous system. And you can choose to do that, or choose to learn skills that will help you do that yourself over time. Okay, I'm going to go. See you later. Bye-bye.